All right. At the top of your paper, well, actually, you don't need notebook paper for this lesson. We're actually going to take all of your notes today on the handout that we gave you in class yesterday. Just pay attention real quick to your objectives for today. Your first objective is to compare two numbers. We're talking about inequalities here. All right, then we're looking at graphing an inequality on a number line, writing an inequality for a graph, writing an inequality for a statement, and writing an inequality for a real-world problem. All right, look with me at your note sheet, and you will see here the the less than symbol, and it says A is less than B. We say A is less than B. And just keep in mind, just like they taught you back in elementary school, the alligator eats the bigger number. So in this situation, we know that this number is less than that number because the alligator is always going to eat the bigger number. The next one says the greater than symbol. A is greater than B. Less than or equal to, we have an extra mark underneath the less than sign, and that means that it is either less than or the same as the other number. And then we have greater than or equal to, again, with the extra mark underneath the greater than sign, and that's just showing us that it is greater than or the same as the other number. So we're going to compare some numbers first. Okay, we're going to compare some numbers. First of all, I want you to write in this first blank -9, and then leave a space, and then write the number 5. Excuse me, -5. The question here is -9 less than or greater than -5? We have to think about which one is further away from 0. So we know that -9 is further away from 0 than -5. If we were looking at a number line, we have 0, -5, and then down here somewhere, -9. So -9 is less than -5, which means -5 is a bigger number, and the alligator wants to eat the bigger number. So put in the less than sign there. In the next blank, I want you to put 0 and -11. Is 0 bigger or smaller than -11? Hopefully you know, back to our number line, -11 is down here somewhere. 0 is bigger than -11. So the alligator eats the bigger number, and it's greater than, 0 is greater than -11. Now I want you to put in 0.15, and over here, 1/5. I realize that these two numbers are not the same. One is a decimal and one is a fraction. So it's important to convert this to a decimal to find out what we're dealing with here. And if you type in 1/5 or divide it out in your calculator, you're going to get 0.20. So you have 0.15 and 0.20. 0.20 is bigger than 0.15. So the alligator is going to eat the bigger number. So you have 0.15 is less than 0.20. The next one, you're going to write 3/4 and then 0.75. 3/4 is the same. This equals 0.75 if you type it in your calculator. It's the same as 0.75, so we're going to say it's equal. And then you have -20 and 1. -20 is much less than 1. If you're not sure about that and you're just looking at 20 and you're thinking that's a really big number, would you rather owe somebody $20 or have them owe you $1? Which one's more money? Would you rather be in the whole 20 bucks or one in the positive? So -20 is less than 1. Number 6, I want you to write this problem here in the blank. We're back to the squigglies. You have the open bracket, X, And then you're going to draw a line, a big up and down line. We call that such that. That's how we say that. So we're saying x such that x is greater than or equal to 5. And then you're going to close that with a brace. This is what we call set notation. And for all of our inequality problems, you're going to have to write this exact same set notation. So go ahead and get in the habit of doing it now. We're going to graph this on a number line. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And because my x might be 5, I'm going to put in a dark circle on number 5 because I'm showing that it could be equal to 5. And it also may be anything greater than 5. So I'm going to shade it this way. You should be shading in your number line just like that. This is exactly how we graph inequalities. Look at number 7 with me. We have x such that x is less than negative 0.8. All right? X such that x is less than negative 0.8. So I'm going to say negative 1, negative 0.9, negative 0.8, negative 0.7, negative 0.6. Go ahead and fill in your number line. And because x is something less than negative 0.8, but it's not equal to, I'm going to draw a circle. Instead of a dark mark, I'm going to make a circle here, showing that it's got to be something less than negative 0.8, but it can't be equal to it. You may also see a trend here that if I'm setting up in set notation here and my x is first, this is kind of like an arrow and it's pointing, my inequality sign is kind of like an arrow and it's pointing to the way that I'm shading my inequality, my graph. Let's look at number 8. X such that x is greater than 23. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, because x is greater than 23, it's not equal to. It's greater than. I'm going to circle the 23 on my number line. And then I'm going to shade in the direction, again, that my inequality sign is pointing. I'm going to shade this way because I'm highlighting anything greater than 23. It's bigger than 23. Let's look at number 9. I have x such that x is less than or equal to negative 2. And I'm going to say negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Because I have an extra mark underneath my inequality sign saying that it could be equal to negative 2, I'm going to make that dark, showing that it could be equal. And again, my inequality, my set notation is set up the right way, and so I know that I'm shading anything less than negative 2, and my arrow points this way. Go ahead and get that filled in on yours. Number 10 says write an inequality for the graph. So I'm going to give you the graph. This is what your graph should look like. Go ahead and fill this in. And we're going to write an inequality based on this graph. Don't forget, you need to put it in set notation. So we're going to say x such that x. Now let's look and see what we've got here. We have that negative 8 is shaded in, so we know that it's going to be an or equal to because it could be equal to negative 8. And we've shaded everything greater than negative 8, so we're going to say x is greater than or equal to negative 8. The graph here, fill this in. We have an open circle at negative 1.9, and we've shaded it to the left. So we're going to say x such that x is We see that we shaded everything less than negative 1.9. And we don't have an extra mark underneath there because we don't have a dark circle on our number line. All right, let's look at number 12. Make an open circle at 13 and shade it to the right. Okay, we have our x such that x is not equal to, but it's bigger than or greater than 13. And the last one I'm going to look at with you is number 13. This is your graph. You have a dark mark, a filled in circle at 0, and then it's shaded to the left. And we're going to say x such that x is, we know that it could be equal to, but it could also be anything less than 0.
All right, we've covered our first 3 objectives for this lesson. Now we're going to look at writing an inequality for a statement and writing an inequality for a real-world problem. An inequality is a statement that 2 quantities are not equal. The quantities are compared using the following signs. Oops, hold on just a second. Sorry, we already looked at that. It says when we write an equation, the word is means equals. As we are writing inequalities, the word is will be followed by a phrase indicating an inequality symbol. Watch for this as we go through these next couple of problems. All right, let's look at number 14. You're going to fill in the words as we go. It says a number decreased by 3 is less than 26. So let's look at how this is going to be written. A number decreased by 3 means n minus 3 is less than, is a less than symbol, and it's less than 26. Make sure you have that down for number 14. All right, so again, please make sure that you have number 14 written down. A number decreased by 3 is less than 26. Looks like n minus 3 is less than 26. Number 15, again, we're filling in the words. It says twice a number is more than the sum of that number and $14. So make sure you have those filled in on your worksheet. Twice a number is more than the sum of that number and 14. And again, we're going to take this a piece at a time. Twice a number is 2n. More than, or is more than, you're going to have a greater than symbol. The sum means I'm going to add of that number, again, is my n, because they're saying the same letter that you used before, and 14. So I'm going to put all that together, and it's going to be 2n is greater than n plus 14. So 2n is greater than n plus 14. Please make sure that you have that all on your worksheet before you move on. Let's look at number 16. It says 5 times a number increased by 9 is greater than 65. So 5 times a number would be 5n, or 5x, or whatever variable you used. increased by 9 means plus 9, is greater than is a greater than symbol, and then 65 is just that, the number 65. So 5 times the number is 5n, increased means add by 9, is greater than is your greater than symbol, and then 65. So we're going to put all that together and say 5n plus 9 is greater than 65. So 5n plus 9 is greater than 65. Make sure you have that copied before on your note paper before you move on. All right, now we're going to look at number 17, and it says 45% of a number is greater than or equal to 70. So again, make sure you have that blank filled in. 45% of a number is greater than or equal to 70. Okay, we're going to start with the 45%, and you write that as 45%. Now be careful, we're going to change that when we go to put it into our equation, because we can't put that percentage symbol into our equation. Of a number means n is greater than or equal to, it's just that, it's a greater than or equal to sign, and then 70. So we've kind of got everything worked out, but again, we have to turn that 45% into a decimal before we put it into an equation. That way, if we do need to solve for this, we can solve for it if we put it into a decimal. So 45%, I can take 45 and divide that by 100, or I can move the decimal place over 2 spaces, and it gives me 0.45 for 45%, 0.45, and then my n, my greater than or equal to sign, and my 70. So 0.45n greater than or equal to 70. And make sure you have this one on your note sheet. All right, we're going to look at 18, the sum of a number, and 16 is at least 34. The sum of a number in 16 is at least 34. All right, sum means to add, and a number, and 16. So we're going to add n and 16. The tricky part here is the at least. We see at least, and we automatically think less than or equal to. However, it's not. It is actually greater than or equal to. So at least is greater than or equal to, and then 34. So let's talk about why at least is greater than or equal to. If I put this into a statement and you go to your parents and you say, I'm going to the movies and I need at least $20. At least means you need $20 or more. So if you say you need at least $20 and they hand you 10, you are not going to be happy about that. So again, at least is greater than or equal to. If you say I need at least $20 and they hand you 20, you're going to be okay with that. And if they hand you more than 20, you're going to be even more happy with that. So again, at least is greater than or equal to. So when I put this in, it's going to be n plus 16 is greater than or equal to 34. Take a minute, make sure you have that. We're about to move on to number 19. Number 19 says 50 is no greater than twice the sum of a number and negative 12. 50 is no greater than twice the sum of a number and negative 12. Okay, so the 50 is going to be just that, the 50. And think about the is no greater than. No greater than means it's not greater than. And if it's not greater than, then it must be less than or equal to. So no greater than means not greater than. So if it's not greater than, then it's less than or equal to. Twice the sum means 2 with parentheses and a plus sign in the middle. A number is n, and negative 12 is just that, negative 12. So I'm going to put that together, and I'm going to say 50 is less than or equal to 2 parentheses n plus negative 12. And again, that is the same thing as n minus 12. However, it's written as the sum of a negative number, so we're going to write it just the way that it sounds, and we're going to say plus a negative 12. Make sure you have that down. All right, number 20 says the sum of a number and negative 1 is at most 14. The sum of a number and negative 1 is at most 14. So the sum of a number and negative 1 means I'm going to add n plus negative 1. Sum means to add. N is the number n, and negative 1 is at most. And again, this is where this gets a little bit tricky because we think at most means greater than or equal to. Okay, it doesn't. It actually means kind of the opposite of that, and it's going to be less than or equal to 14. So again, let's talk about why it's less than or equal to. If you say there's going to be at most 15 people show up, or there's going to be at most 15 guests at the party, that means that there's going to be 15 or less. So at most, again, is one of those very, very tricky ones. It actually means less than or equal to. Take a minute and make sure you have that one. All right, number 21. 3 less than a number is no more than 10. Go ahead and take a minute and try this one on your own. So pause the video and try it. Hopefully you've had a minute to try this one. And it says 3 less than a number. You have to be careful with that. The less than right here is the turnaround word less than. It doesn't mean less than as far as an inequality symbol. So 3 less than a number is n minus 3. It is not the same to say 3 minus n, so if you wrote 3 minus n, please fix it. It has to be n minus 3, because 3 less than a number means I'm taking that number and subtracting 3 from it. Is no more than means not more than, so it has to be less than or equal to 10. Now, the way to know whether or not this less than is a symbol or a turnaround word. If it's written this way where it's like 3 is less than, then it's a turnaround word. If it follows the word is less than, is more than, then that's when you need an inequality symbol. So don't get those two confused. If it follows the is, it's talking about an inequality symbol. If it doesn't have is in front, then it's one of these turnaround words like this one. All right, we're going to finish number 22 and number 23 in class tomorrow because those are word problems. So we're going to take a little while to talk about those tomorrow in class. So make sure you bring that worksheet with you to class tomorrow. Again, one, to help you fill out your, or to help you with your classwork, and also because we're going to finish filling in number 22 and 23. So we have covered all of our objectives except for this last one, and again, we're going to do that one in class tomorrow, those last two examples. But you should now be able to compare two numbers, graph an inequality on a number line, write an inequality for a graph, and write an inequality for a statement. That's the end of your video, and thank you for watching.